Hello? Can you just let me know if you can hear me? How you guys doing? Hello, Jack. Good evening. Yep, family's doing really well. I got my dad with me, actually. Hi, Eddie. And Anthea, how you doing? Yep, hi everyone at GSC. Hello. Alright. Cool. Great, thanks. Alright. Hey, Gabe. Good. Okay, YouTube and Facebook's working. Instagram is working as well. Okay, great. Alright. Cool. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Put them in the chat. I'll be answering all the questions you guys have, and anything you want to know, I'll be answering. But anyway, before we start, I just wanted to mention about how coronavirus is affecting me, and what a shame it is that it's stopped my flight around the world. That it's postponed it. But it's yeah, sure, it's bad for me, but a lot of people have it way worse. I mean, there's people dying because of it. I mean, I feel bad for all the families that have suffered from this. The pilots as well, who maybe spent a whole lot of money for their training, now can't get a job. But as long as you just keep thinking positive, we'll all get through this eventually. Hopefully the aviation industry will recover from this. But anyway, coronavirus, I'm still being optimistic about my flight next year. I'll be getting to that. But yeah, coronavirus has pushed my flight back, basically. And that links me to my first question. Will I be taking off as planned in June? And well, the short answer is no, but that's, you would expect that, just because obviously I think it'll be quite irresponsible leaving in June when many other countries still have huge cases. I mean, we don't know what the UK will be like in June. The way it's going now, I'll probably still be in lockdown. So so when will I be going? So it looks like I'll be doing my flight this time. Probably March next year is when I'll depart. And there's some good and bad things about that. Some of the good things are I get to visit 5 continents instead of 4. I actually got a sticky note here. I've got to get used to this. There we go. 5 continents. And I get to go on a different route, which you can't actually see very well here because it's in yellow. It doesn't show up that well, but it's the same route through Russia and everything, but we go down into South America. Some pretty cool routes go to Ecuador, to Colombia, and we go Jamaica, and then we go Cayman Islands, where I got some my cousins are there, and stop in Cuba. Hopefully that would be really fun. Which, yeah, that's a really cool stop, and also means I get to cross the equator, which is a great achievement as well for my flight around the world, because some people don't actually count a flight around the world if you don't cross the equator, which I don't agree with. But there's also 23 different countries. Where's the countries? Oh, up here. Yep, 23. Okay, and what else? So 23 different countries, and there's also 56 different stops. Yes, okay, and that I don't like having more stops than needed, but because that's more times of the most dangerous times in flight, which is takeoff and landing. But I just took the opportunity, and that's what I'll be doing. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just keep them coming. Right, I'm gonna answer one on Instagram now. Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Jonathan. Yeah, lots of variety now. Yeah, I was sort of sticking to, sort of northern, just in the north. But yeah. Oh, okay. Here we go. Jack on watching on YouTube said, with regards to your accommodation in each country, will you be in a hotel or another complex for sleeping? Right now, not exactly sure. I mean, obviously, most places I'll be in a hotel, but place in like Russia, I'll probably be staying in some like babushka's house or something. But yeah, no, most of the time it'll be a hotel. Hopefully, I get to stay in some nice hotels. It depends how much. See if I can afford it, but it's all because it's all down to GASC, who are General Aviation Support Egypt, and they are basically helping me out with my basically with my all the planning and the basically all the fuel, all the all the hotels where I eat, all that every time I stop, and all the overflight stuff I need. So they're great help because really I couldn't do this without them. They so Eddie at GASE, he's very helpful, and he's such a lovely guy. So I mean, if you guys are planning to fly around the world or go on a long trip around the world, I recommend you check out GASE. They're really helpful. Okay. Right. Let's see what other questions we got. Okay. Okay. What languages? Yeah. What languages do you speak? I only speak English. I can do a Russian accent, but I can only speak English. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. Have you prearranged? Do you have prearranged stops and maintenance for your aircraft? Yes. So I will be doing 50-hour checks during my flight around the world. Again, that's with GASE, who General Aviation Support Egypt, Golf Alpha Sierra Echo. That's GASE. All right. Got another question. Okay. Right. Oh yeah. So Eddie said, who runs GASE, General Aviation Support Egypt. He said there won't be any hotels in Siberia, but yeah, I'll stay with families, which I think will be pretty cool. I've seen some videos on YouTube about people landing in Russia, flying around the world, and they said because all the pilots, they don't really understand what am I saying, all the air traffic controllers, because they don't really get foreign pilots there. Their English isn't the best, so because they don't really need to speak English in the middle of Russia, because everyone's just Russian there. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how to talk to all the air traffic control over there while they don't really speak English. I mean, when I watched these people, they still got through with it. Just instead of saying to Sierra Oscar Lima Oscar final 19 to land, they'll just say we are on 19 and we would like to land. That's basically how it goes. Yeah. Okay. Next question. All right. Do you have prearranged? Oh yeah, already answered that. Right. Okay, another one from Anthea Gold. So she asked, which part of the flight do you think will be the most difficult, and where are you most looking forward to flying? So I think the most difficult flight would be this part would be the I'll do this. The last leg, almost the last leg from Iceland back to the Faroe Islands, because that's over some pretty cold water. Actually, so is this as well. From crossing over Greenland and crossing to Iceland because it's so cold over there. You're in a small PA-28 with no de-icing equipment. It's it's I gotta make sure the weather's perfect pretty much all the time when I'm flying over there. Okay, next questions. Okay, right. Another question. Right. Oh, hi Andrew. Yeah, hi. Yeah, so this is the old air bridge basically, which they used to move World War II aircraft in from the US to the UK, which is pretty cool. So it's a pretty historic flight. Um, yeah, basically stopping all the airports that they stop here in Iqaluit. That's quite a lot of people stop there when they're flying around the world and when they're crossing the Atlantic. We were thinking once about crossing over to the Azores, but that's quite a long that's quite a long flight. Sure, the water isn't as cold, but that's about 1,300 miles over there. So, but yeah, lucky I've got a ferry tank on board. I'm going to bring a ferry tank on board now, and add that with the diesel engine, which only burns about 5.5 gallons per hour. I could basically get about 20 hours of flight time in my plane over that, and I'm allowed to. I could basically fly around about probably about 2,500 miles. I think I calculated. Right. Okay. Right. Okay, good. Yes, so I have seen JP and Matt Guthmiller's around the world videos, and yeah, they did actually go quite a similar route, but they didn't cross. Where am I going? Ooh, okay, they didn't cross through Russia, and they crossed Pacific. They went down to through the Middle East, India, and through Asia, and then they flew up to Hawaii, and they spent basically 15-hour flights over the Pacific, two 15-hour flights, one stop in Hawaii, and for me that's quite dangerous. I think, especially you got one engine, and if that fails, then that's it. I crash land. I mean, I've got lots of safety equipment. I've got emergency locator transmitters, all that. I've got satellite phones from Iridium. They're really good. I press a button on the top and they and it will send coordinates to a text message anyone who I need with coordinates of my location. I've got like Wi-Fi on the plane, the Benix King Aerowave 100, so I could call someone while and tell them what's going on while I'm in the air, what's happened if I'm out of radio contact. But yeah, so safety is always number one for me, so I always focus on that. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Right. All right. Hi, Larry. All right. Oh, hi, Larry. Cool. How long have you been into flying? So, I started flying when I was 13, when my godmother actually bought me a gliding trial flight, and basically since then I've been hooked into flying. I love it really. It's like it's like freedom basically. It's not like driving a car where you're just stuck to roads and all that. It's like I can go wherever I want. I mean, obviously can't just head straight into Heathrow airspace. But yeah, no, and I love the views as well. Before lockdown, me and my mate, we went down to the Isle of Wight, flew around the Isle of Wight, which is cool. I can't wait for the views when I fly around the world as well. Some of the cool places that I'll see. Yeah. Right. 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 So when did I come up with the idea to go around the world? So I was probably, so I've been into aviation all my life, and I thought, I read Polly Varcher's book, Wings Around the World, and basically I thought, wow, that's so cool. I love flying, and I wanted to join that really. What did I say? I mean, I wanted to do that, and so yeah, I was probably about 10 or 11, I think, and I've just been hooked on that dream ever since, and it's finally, hopefully it's going to finally come together. This time next year I'll be, I don't know, hopefully in Russia somewhere this time next year, hopefully. I am actually going to be stopping at Friedrichshafen on one of my flights, which is the biggest airship in Europe, if you guys don't know, and hopefully meet some people there, and that's actually one of my stops. The plan was one of my stops before coronavirus was to land at Oshkosh, but obviously we can't do that now. But hopefully I'll be flying after I've flown around the world, turn around, fly back to Oshkosh the next day. Not the next day. Fly back to Oshkosh pretty soon after I've flown around the world. But yeah, okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so flying with Dan. Hello. Okay, am I flying to Cyprus? That's not one of my stops, but I was planning to fly to Cyprus with my one of my mates, or a couple of my mates, and fly down there basically I was planning to tour Europe with my mates, and I'm going to be filming it and all that. But that I'm not sure when that'll be. That might be in a couple years' time. I'm not sure yet. But I mean, I've got so many plans after I've flown around the world. That's just one of them. But his second question is how many flight hours we have in total to add to your logbook. Right now, I'm not exactly sure. I think it'll be about 350 hours of flight time. I mean, it all depends. Tailwinds, headwinds, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's how long it will take. Okay. Right. Will I be stopping at Mossel Bay in South Africa? And how many hours do I have currently and on your plane? So I've been planning. I'm also planning to fly down to South Africa. That's another one of my planned stops. I will. I'm not exactly sure when that'll be. How many years? Because I've also got family who lives down in South Africa. My grandparents live down there. My mum's from South Africa. Hi, if you guys are watching. They live in Durban. There's Sharon Carlson. That's my grandmama. So hopefully to fly down there. Yeah, I'll be coming down there soon. Not sure when though. Okay. Right. And sorry. How many hours I currently have on my plane? So my plane currently has about flying in my plane, I've only got about 3 hours because it's been in it's been worked on right now by the really helpful people at Tatton Hill Aviation. They're the ones putting the avionics in. They're Bennett King Avionics. But yeah, no, it's been in there for about 2-3 months now. But yeah, I've only flown about 3 times. Got about 3 hours in it. But on PA-28s, I've got about 80 hours. About 100 hours actually on PA-28s. And hopefully I'll get about 300. Actually, because of lockdown, but probably about 300 hours before I fly around the world. 300 hours more, so 400 in total. And that would probably be. That's how many I'll have. Total flying. I've also have about 20 hours on. Isaac just asked how many total hours on all aircraft. I've got about 150 hours because I've got quite a few hours on a Cessna 152. That's what I started training on. But other than that, yeah, I've always been flying in PA28s. But I've also got about 25 hours gliding as well, because I train to glide before I train to fly. But yeah, okay, right, right, okay. Sean Miller just asked, he just said, "Hi Travis, Johan here from Quebec. Diesel fuel isn't common in airports here in Canada and the US. Do you expect any problems for refueling?" So that's another thing with General Aviation Support Egypt. They with their flight planning, they always locate where they'll always make sure that there'll be fuel available for me wherever I land. So I mean, even if I land in the middle of Russia and they don't have jet fuel there, they'll bring a barrel in of jet fuel. They'll bring some in there, which is really helpful. So yeah, but the thing with the diesel engine as well, it could take just normal jet fuel, or it can take so Jet A1. It can take anything up to Chinese jet fuel was certified in it. I mean, and it can also just take normal car diesel. So yeah, that's fine. Hi James. All right. Okay. Right. Lydia and Edward Sage asked, "What's your favorite experience flying?" So my favorite experience is probably, because I mean I've only had my PPL for I got it in on February 13th. That's on my birthday. I picked up my PPL, and because of lockdown, I haven't been flying a lot. But no, my favorite flying experience has probably been I flew in. If you guys not sure who Michael Smith is, he flew around the world a few years ago in a seaplane, and he's from Australia, and he's a really nice guy actually. But he flew down to White Waltham because he was flying from the UK to Australia to commemorate 100 years since the first airmail from Australia to from the UK to Australia, and he was flying in a really cool Russian float plane called the Sea Bear, and I got to do a couple circuits in at the White Waltham airfield, which is really cool in that. But yeah, no. If you check out Mike Smith, or on Instagram, he's called Chasing. He's called Southern Sun. If you check him out, he's got a book and everything. It's really good. So yeah, check him out. Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Right. Isaac again asked. Obviously, this main task at the moment. But how would you like? What would you like to do after you've completed this trip? Full ATPL or another career? Well, I'm hoping to continue flying around the world with support of you, my fans, my followers, really. Again, I'm not really sure how possible that be right now, because obviously it's going to cost an absolute fortune to do that. I mean, it's but if I can do that, that would be my aim. I mean, it's a lot cheaper to operate a diesel or jet fuel plane because of how much cheaper jet fuel is in Europe, and well, in a lot of places in the world. But yeah, I'm hoping to just continue flying around the world after, and yeah, basically do what sort of Matt Guthmiller does, I guess. Yeah. All right. Let's go on to Instagram. Right. Right. Mikhail DeMello asked, "Would you have an instrument rating before your journey starts?" Yes, I will. I've already done about half my training, and I've done it with AeroGuard flight training in Phoenix. They've been really helpful. They basically they've crammed all of my flight training in. I basically got my instrument rating in about a month. Really, I've just crammed it all in really quickly. I mean, I spent 2 weeks there in February, and then the plan was to go back April, which obviously couldn't happen. And so after lockdown, I'll be heading down there again. And after the US opens up their borders, I'll be heading down there and finishing off my instrument rating. And I'll be getting some experience. I'm hoping to fly around Europe if if coronavirus allows it, fly to someplace in Europe this summer to get some experience with my instrument rating and all that, and flying in foreign countries. But that was a good question, and just want to thank again people at AeroGuard for being really helpful for doing that. Right, let's go back onto Instagram. What other questions we got? Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So, James the pilot asked again, how high can I climb in my turbocharged PA-28? So, yeah, that's the thing with the jet fuel diesel engine. It is turbocharged, and obviously because it's turbocharged, you can get more air into the engine at higher altitudes where the air is less dense. So I have an operational. I have a ceiling of 16,000 feet, which is really good, and it still has a whole lot of horsepower up there. So that's really good. I mean, I'll definitely have oxygen in the tank, in the plane. I definitely won't be flying at that height without oxygen. That's a suicide mission. But right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got a question from Corina. I'm not actually sure how. I'm probably gonna botch this. Sean is he? I think. She asked, "Hi Travis, I'm a flying instructor. This is a great example of using your PPL after qualifying. Well done, very brave, and will be full of experiences. Where are you looking forward to visiting the most, and what are you the most nervous about?" So I'm looking forward the most to flying in Russia. Wrong way again. Flying in Russia. I think some of these stops are really cool. There's all the way over here. There's a place called Evensk in Russia, and it's basically just like a settlement in Russia, in the Siberian wilderness, which is cool. And the place I'm most nervous. Well, actually, sorry, another place I'm looking forward to is basically flying down in South America. Panama is going to be cool. Oh, this just came out. Panama will be cool. Colombia and Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, because my cousins live there. But that'll be great. Sorry. Okay. Right. I'm most nervous about this bit. Basically just crossing the Atlantic, and actually this bit as well from Iqaluit to over here in Greenland. But all of this is quite cold and dangerous when you don't have anti-icing equipment in a plane. I'll just be keeping my eyes on the weather all the time. And I mean, a lot of other people are flying around the world without anti-icing equipment. So hopefully I'll be all right on that. I mean, pretty sure I'll be all right. Right. Okay. Right. Let's look at some more questions. Right. Right. So here we go. What is the longest leg of your flight? Oh, here. Okay. Sorry. There's another question from Mikhail. What is the longest leg of your flight in your entire journey? Is there any time target for the entire journey to be completed? So, that's a good question. The longest leg of my flight, originally it was Iceland to Wick in Scotland, but we've now shortened that because we're stopping the Faroe Islands. And so the longest now is, can you see it? Yeah, here it is. So it's here in Russia, and here in Russia as well. They're both, I think they're equally long, and they're about 8 hours of flight time. Yeah, no, it's quite a cool. It'll be quite a cool trip. I mean, I will have with the ferry tank. I'll be able to fly there and back about 3 times, so I should be okay. And also, from talking to people who have flown in Russia, there's basically airfields dotted everywhere in Russia. I mean, it's sort of like the US. They're just they're not marked really because they're you know it's in Russia. Yeah. Okay. Right. Right. Hello, Richard. How you doing? Right. Okay. Okay, James asked, will I be doing oceanic position reports when crossing the Atlantic? Yes, I will. I've been studying how to do that, and I've been looking at Matt Guthmiller's videos and JP's videos of them flying over the Atlantic. Those are cool videos. If you guys want to check them out, yeah, that basically is some of the experience I've been getting. Jonathan Holland asked, what will the endurance be of the PA-28 with that engine? So with the standard fuel tanks, with the diesel engine, it only burns about 5.5 gallons an hour, and so I could fly. I have about a flight time of just over 10 hours of flight time with the diesel, with the standard fuel tanks, and with the ferry tank I have about 20 hours flight time, just under actually. I think it's about 19. So yeah, I have about a range with the standard fuel tanks about 1,000 miles, and with the bigger fuel tanks about 2,000, or just over 2,000, and just over 1,000 with the standard fuel tanks. Yeah, no. So, well, the reason for the ferry tanks is, well, A, it's not actually that big. It's not that big of a ferry tank in the back. You know, I'm not even taking the back seats out. I'm just putting them on the. I'm just resting this fuel tank on the back seats in like a bladder sort of thing. So it's not actually that big, but because you know with the diesel engine, it only sips the fuel so slightly. It's great. Yeah, no, I need that because I want to be able to, with my flight, I want to be able to fly to any stop I have and fly back again as a diversion. So that's my safety precaution. Yeah, okay. Right. Right, let's answer some Instagram questions. All right. Okay. Right. Yeah, so Romeo Bravo actually mentioned someone else who's flown around the world, and they flew around the world in a sling. They're from South Africa. I've watched some of their videos. They're really helpful as well. Yeah, I will. That actually reminds me, I do need to contact them and hopefully get some tips from them, which would be great. Yeah. Right. Right. Okay. Hello, Helen and Andrew. Hope you guys are okay. They're in New York. Right. Right. Let's see what other questions I got. All right. I think. What else have I got? Okay. Yeah. Actually, I just want to talk you through some of my plane. Actually, some of the things I have on board my plane. So I prepared some cool slides on this live stream. Check this out. Right. So I'll show you what the plane looks like from the outside. Is this it? Yep. Here it is. So basically, this is the paint scheme. It's a PA-28 Cadet. It's got the diesel jet fuel engine, And this is what the paint scheme will look like. Obviously, I'm hoping to get a few more sponsors on board before then, but this is who I'll have. And so in the cockpit, I've been Bennett's King has been very helpful, and they've supplied me with a really nice glass cockpit, full glass cockpit, everything. So here we'll get to, and so what they have one of the things they've given me is the AeroView Touch, and so this is basically a full heads-up display, flight information display, all that, and it's everything basically you have in a standard heads-up display, but it's got a pretty cool screen on it. It's 4K, and it shows all the terrain, all that. And I do like this bar on the side where you have all the controls there, and it's touchscreen as well, which is great. This is their installation in a Cessna 182, which I actually checked out in Phoenix. It's got the AeroNav 800 and 900. They're the GPS navigators that I'll be using when I'm flying around the world. They're actually really great. I've checked them out. They're great. It's got the Aero Cruise 100 autopilot, which isn't in this installation, but that's also great. It links with my aircraft and basically works. It works like a proper 2-axis autopilot. Everything's great on that. That's the aircraft. So. And add that with a diesel engine, it's great, and it will have all of the interior will be done by Air Interiors in Elstree. Make sure you guys check those out actually, because the seats on my plane are they're next level really. It's literally like a Lamborghini seat inside my plane, and they've leathered the yokes, all of that. It looks so nice. Here, let's go back to here. It's pretty slick. So that's Air Interiors at Elstree. You guys need to check out, which they're really nice. Right. Oh, Lisa has just. So Lisa asked. So she must have missed what I said earlier. But so the plan now is to, after talking to my sponsors, to start the flight about March next year, sometime in March next year, and that'll change my route, so I'll be visiting 5 continents instead of 4, 56 stops, and it's also the route's slightly longer. It's about there we go. It's about 26,000 miles. We're trying to shorten that a bit down because I don't want to do I don't want to do more miles than I actually need to. But and that's the plan so far. Right. Well, the questions we've got. Let's check IG. Okay. Right. Romeo Bravo 84 asked, who will be helping with the weather? Right now it's all just me. GASC actually will be helping with some of the parts. I'll be able to contact them all the time with all that sort of stuff. But a lot of it will be on me because when you train to get your PPL. It's always on you. It's you to check the weather, you to check all the NOTAMs, all that. That's what I do really. With this Bennett's King, I've got a weather radar. It receives the signal, the big satellites from not the satellites, the radars from the airliners flying above me. And it sends it back down to basically my plane where I get the weather information, which is really slick. I like that a lot. It's pretty high tech. So I'll be able to see the weather radar. I mean, obviously it's not. There's a delay. It's about 7-minute delay, which is something I do have to keep in mind. Right. Oh, here we go. Okay. Jason asked, will there be someone who follows you or meets you in each stop, or will we be doing the 56 stops alone? So the majority of the stops will be just me. I mean, I'll obviously have people there to take me to the airport, which would be arranged with GASE. But no one most of the time it's people who I don't actually know. I've got some few family who lives in the US. That's the wrong way. That's the there we go. Yep. And so obviously some people who live in the Cayman Islands, which I'll be stopping at, and one of the stops will also be in Russia with I've got someone who I know in Russia, which I'm looking forward to staying with as well. Yeah. All right. Okay. Telecoms helper asked, how long will it take you and what will you miss the most while away? So right now the plan is probably to take me just over 3 months because it's a bit of a longer trip. So about over 3 months. So hopefully get back before the middle of June is my target. And I'll in order to still beat the record of the youngest person to fly solo around the world. Right. Yeah. Okay. Oh yes, and what will I miss the most while away? I'll probably miss my dogs the most. We actually have 4 at the moment because we found one on the side of a motorway in the UK. As a little Chihuahua and really cute. So I probably miss that. And we got a Jackapoo, which is a cross between Jack Russell and Poodle, and a sausage dog, miniature Dachshund, and we've got a Border Terrier who's very old and can't see, hear, or smell. Yeah, I'll miss the dogs the most, definitely. Okay. Andrew Randall asked, will any... Oh, no, I've already... Oh yes, so... oh, yes. Okay. Okay. Any more questions? All right. On Instagram, Romani asked, are you still flying a Terror Guard? I am still flying a Terror Guard. I'm still looking to get my instrument rating there. And after I've flown around the world, maybe get my commercial rating there. Maybe multi-engine, all that sort of stuff there, because they're so helpful. They do all that sort of stuff. I mean, most people, they'll train you all the way up to. I mean, over there they'll train you all the way up to ATPL, full ATPL license. So that's great, and they do all international students. It's a huge complex there. I mean, that's one thing I noticed about in the US flight schools. I mean, so here in the UK, flight schools is like take for example White Waltham. It's like a it's a small community of people, and they I mean, sure, it's a really cool bit. It's like an old World War II airfield, which is cool. And you got a few planes. But at Aeroguard, it's it's a huge like mission. They employ so many people, and lots of very new planes. They got a huge fleet and everything. Another place I also do a lot of my training, like my night rating, is at Oxford Airport with pilot flight training. They're also really helpful. They're the ones who have helped me with. They've let me Golf Alpha Yankee Juliet Papa. They're really helpful. I mean, if you're living in the UK and you need flight support, they also do all instrument rating, all PPLs, all of that stuff, commercial licenses, all of that. Just at Oxford Airport, pilot flight training. I recommend you check them out as well. Okay. Right. Okay. Eddie asked, will there be a book, a documentary, or a film after I get home? Yes, there'll probably be a book. I'm not sure about a film unless some crazy thing happens, like I get attacked by zombies. But there'll definitely be a book. which I'll be making notes all about while I'm flying around the world, about all the places I go to, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. Right, onto Instagram. All right, Jason2288 asked, will you be flying every single day, or will you have any days off during your challenge? So most days I will be flying, but in cool places, or I will have to be taking rests. So yeah, I will be stopping for a few days in some places, like so in the Cayman Islands. I will stay there for a few days. And yeah, cool places that would be nice to visit. I would be stopping. Which well, basically anywhere that's interests me, I'll stay there just for a time bit longer. I'm also bringing my my wakeboard with me, actually, so I'll be stopping at some of the places where they've got wakeboard parks, because I do like to wakeboard sometimes. And yeah, I'll bring that in the back of my plane as well. Right. Right, Lydia and Edward Sage asked, how big is my plane? So my plane's a PA-28. Yeah, I'll bring up a photo again. There it is. So it's a single engine, 4-seater, PA-28. Cruises about 120 knots. I'm not exactly sure how fast it will cruise with the speed fairings on it once it's finished being done up. But yeah, it's a single engine plane. Pretty small. Not smallest, but yeah, pretty small in terms of planes. But I do. It's really nice, 4-seater. Yeah. And yeah. Hi Richard, how you doing? Okay. Right. Okay. Any other questions? Mikhail asked again. Mikhail asked pretty good questions. Good questions, Mikhail. Is the aircraft specially equipped to deal with icing conditions? No, it is not. Which that's one thing I'm worried about, is flying into icing conditions. But I'll be checking all the METARs, TAFs, all that, checking all every single pilot report, all that, and SIGMETs, all that. Literally 24/7. I land, check while I'm flying, with the Aero Wave 100 on onboard Wi-Fi, I can check the weather for the so all the time. It would be weather's one of the things that scares me the most, so I will be checking that out all the time. Okay. More questions. Okay. Oh. Jason22 asked again, am I selling the shirt I'm wearing? Right now, no, but I am definitely, I'm trying to do that. I've been talking to the manufacturer, and we'll be bringing some in. They'll have all the logos as well, so not just this. Will have Bennett's King, Pilot Flight Training, AeroGuard. Did I say Bennett's King? I think I did. Yeah, all of those people. Tatton how do I forget them? Tatton they've been really helpful as well. Yeah, sorry, if you don't know who Tatton is, they're the ones installing all the avionics, all of that into my plane, which is they've been really helpful. During the lockdown, during coronavirus, they're still working from home. Actually, on the plane, they did my my wiring and all that stuff. The skeleton at the plane at the one of the engineer's house, which is really helpful. Telecom helper asked, Booker or White Waltham? So I actually fly at White Waltham now. I started at Booker, but now I fly at White Waltham, and that's where I got my PPL from. I just love it there. It's pretty. It's cool. Hi Travis. Apart from the merch, sorry, Tom Booterman asks, hi Travis. Apart from the merch, we have any other merch associated products for sale, watches, etc. That's also a good question. Mention those watches. I can't really mention this yet. But I will be making a really big announcement about that. So I might or may not be selling watches. Well, someone who I'm working with. But merch, yeah, I'm hoping to sell hats, all that sort of stuff. Shirts, lots of shirts. Not exactly sure what else yet. I mean, if you guys have anything, any recommendations, I'll be happy to answer some of them or listen to some of them, take notes. That's the plan so far. Right, let's check. Instagram seems to have frozen. Let's try fix this again. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's working again. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Questions. All right. No questions. So, also, let me know. If you guys have any recommendations of places you want me to go. Also, let me know about that. There's some cool. I already have some cool stops. Estonia. There's a cool Soviet pilot graveyard where they the old Soviet pilots, they bury them underneath the tail fins of their of the aircraft they flew. So there's there's really cool stuff there. I did post it on my Instagram a while ago. I didn't know where it was, but someone helped me with that. A lot of cool stops here. I will be stopping at a lot of places around North and South America. Well, I mean, not all the way down here, but North South America. I will be stopping at. And well, actually, if you're in the UK or maybe around Europe, I might visit before I've flown around the world. Richard Freeman asked, how many miles does a tank of fuel do on your airplane? And is that standard fuel tank? So with the standard fuel tanks in my plane, it does about 1,000 miles, nautical miles, with a standard fuel tank. With the ferry tank, it almost doubles that, really. Tom Bootyman asked, sorry if I missed it earlier, but how come you're going eastbound as opposed to westbound? Is there any particular reason for this? Basically, there's less of a headwind when you're flying eastbound because the jet stream goes. I mean, obviously, I'm not flying in the jet stream, but generally the wind blows east to west. So most of the time I have a tailwind. I mean, obviously, it won't be all the time, but that's the reason. I know Mike Smith went westbound, and he encountered some problems because of that. It will shorten the flight down, going east to west. All right. Okay. Oh. Instagram seems to have stopped live streaming. Why is that? Okay. Carlos Fortner asked, what are the specs of your aircraft? Any mods? So, yep, it's a PA-28. PA-28 Cadet. It's got a diesel engine, burns about 5.5 gallons an hour, and right now it it's 120 knot cruise, but it'll probably be doing about 125 knot cruise with the speed fairings on it. Has about standard tanks about 1,000 miles, ferry tanks about 2,000 mile range, and here I'll show you this. So this is that's the cockpit. Here's the plane. That's the paint scheme. Looks really nice. Got all the so far all the sponsors on board, which been really helpful actually. And Bennett's King is supplied with a really great cockpit, I have to say. Lisa just asked me to tell us a bit more about the Bennett's King avionics. We got I'll pull up here. So we got the Bennett's King AeroView Touch, which is flight heads-up display and the terrain avoidance, all of that. It's got actually, let me run through what it's got. So it's got all the standard glass cockpit avionics, and it's got all this terrain avoidance. It's got all the collision avoidance with the planes, all that. It's got I really like this control knob you see on the right, which is really helpful. Yes, Carlos said that was a Cessna panel. That's it. That's actually in Bennett's King Cessna. That's actually in Bennett's King's 182, which they've put in, because my avionics aren't actually fully in the plane yet. They're still putting installed. But yeah, they're all getting put in right now. And I think they're doing a great job of it. And so this Bennett's King stuff, it's pretty. It's actually really nice. It's got this this rubber grip around the outside of this screen because it's touch screen. And during turbulence it might be a bit hard. So that's what I like compared to some of the other control heads-up displays, all that, and glass cockpits that touch screen. You can't. It's hard to grip onto it and touch it accurately, but it's better with this, I feel. And then you've also just got the side panel on the side, which helps out. And then for the navigators, the GPS navigators, you can see in the which are close to the iPad, which is on the right. They're on the middle right. So there's the AeroNav 900, which is on the top, which is that screen you see on the top, and below it is the AeroNav 800. So the AeroNav 900 is sort of the primary, and they actually work really well together because they have, if you want to input your route onto the AeroNav 900, you you can the AeroNav 800 becomes the keyboard for the AeroNav 900, which is really cool. One thing I forgot to mention about the AeroView Touch, the Bennett's King AeroView Touch, is it actually has synthetic vision as well as standard. There's a lot of other products you have to pay like huge amount of money for synthetic vision, but the Bennett's King comes with it as standard, which is really nice as well. If you don't know what synthetic vision is, it's basically lets you see the terrain on the screen so that's really cool. And so the autopilot is the Bennett's King Aero Cruise 100. This is an upgrade. An install autopilot, so you can put it onto a plane that doesn't have an autopilot yet. It's actually really nice. Also, it's super cheap for what it is. It's like a full. I could shoot like LPV approaches, all of that onto with just that autopilot. And it costs, I think, only it's about $5,000. So, which in terms of autopilots, that's like the cheapest you could ever get. It's so great, and it works so well. And then you've also got the AeroPoint, 100 there on the far left, and so that's the engine monitoring system, which is really helpful because obviously I need to make sure my aircraft's working, the engine's working all the time as it should. So it's got all the standard cylinder head temperatures, RPM, all of that. I don't have lean of peak, but because with a diesel engine you don't have mixture control, but because it's all controlled by a FADEC, a full authority digital engine control. So I'm speaking really technical here, but it you know, if you have a normal avgas, it has all the lean peak assist and stuff like that, the lean assist, sorry, but yeah, it's really helpful. And finally, in the center you see there is the backup altitude heading and an attitude indicator. What's it called again? Sorry, I've actually let me search it up again. I can't believe I've forgotten. It is the. Oof. That's it, the Aeroflight. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, so the Aeroflight or the KI300. That's what that is. And so the great thing about that is, if the alternator fails, turn off all the avionics, and that still has about an hour battery on it. I think over an hour battery. So I can land and just use that with all the avionics turned off, and it's not sucking power out of the battery, which is really great. Yeah. Right. So that's another thing I wanted to talk about is the people that helped me fly in Russia. So it's not just General Aviation Support Egypt. It's also MAK or Mike Alpha Kilo General Aviation Support. If any of you want to fly in Russia, Mac, it's run by a guy called Evgeny. He's a really nice guy. He'll basically wrong way. There we go. He basically does all the overflight and all that stuff in all the political stuff that needs to be done when flying in Russia. Flying in Russia actually isn't as hard as you think it would be. You think you have to do all of this paperwork, you have to get searched by the Russian secret police, all that. But no, it's all it's pretty well done and really helpful. I mean, obviously I haven't flown there yet, but from what I've heard, it's great. I've talked to people who've flown there, and they said, people in Russia are they're so nice compared to you think, the Cold War, and it's East versus no, there we go, no, there we go, East versus West, but it's they're such nice people. So I recommend you check out MAK or Mike Alpha Kilo General Aviation Services, Mac General Aviation Services, and speak to Evgeny there. He's really helpful, and he runs it. Right. So we've got a question from AeroGuard. So the difference between FAA and EASA training. So in the FAA, actually no, I'll start with EASA because that's what most of my PPL training is with EASA. So basically, it's all with EASA. I've noticed that it's sort of always more outdated than the FAA training. It's so we have to do a proficiency check for the radios, and you have to use this software that was made in 2005 or something, and it's super slow, but and I think I actually almost failed it because I could barely control how to do all of this doing all this stuff while trying to talk, practice radio, but then also with the EASA, all the schools are sort of a bit it's all a bit smaller and less professional. With FAA, you've got all these I'll take for example AeroGuard flight training. I mean, they have you learn to you can practice your for what you're practicing, you've got an app. So AeroGuard, they actually have their own app, which basically means you can study to get your study for your pilot's license or whatever you're getting, your commercial instrument, all of that, which is fantastic, really. I mean, I'm not sure what other flight schools do that. The only one I know is AeroGuard, who have this app, and they're super helpful with that. I mean, I passed my instrument test, FAA instrument test, without even having a like a lesson. I mean, I had once I had AirGuard, I had like a run through of it all, but I basically learned all of the theory with, and I'm still learning right now. I can still study with it off of this app that AeroGuard offers. And if that was with the EASA, they just wouldn't really allow that, I don't think, because they're so far behind. Also with they also in the US, like everyone, like they're super supportive of EFBs. So like ForeFlight, they love that over there. And it's super helpful. Whereas in the US, in Europe, it's sort of like people use them a lot, but it's sort of they're more, I don't know, skeptical of it. They think, oh, what if it fails? What do you do? And like all that sort of stuff. But I feel like the FAA is just far more ahead of everyone else, which I think is great, and especially if you're training at somewhere like AeroGuard, where they have all this stuff to help you there. It's great. Yeah. And yes, Mikhail, sorry, the Instagram live stream stopped for some reason. But good thing you found me on YouTube. Great. Yes. Thanks for the kind words, Mikhail. But that's but as I was saying, with using the EFBs in Europe, ForeFlight, I actually use ForeFlight quite a lot, and their AeroGuard use them as well. I mean, it still works great, like wherever you are. ForeFlight actually works. I really like using ForeFlight in the Europe. I'm more of a ForeFlight guy. I've used both ForeFlight and in Europe they use what's it called? Let me search it up again. I can't remember.
Somebody's gonna.
EFB, that's it. Skydemon, that's it. Well, I don't know why I forgot that. But yeah, no, they use Skydemon here mostly. But no, ForeFlight works great here as well. I use it a lot. And yeah, but it has all the approach plates, everything, all of that. I can, all the navigation features, radios. Because it's owned by Jepson, I've got all the Jepson approach plates, all that. It's really helpful. Yeah. Right. Have we got any more questions? Okay. Well, right. I think we'll leave it there now. I wanted to thank you all for. Actually, sorry. Wait, we've got one more question from Lisa. So she asked, "Can you talk about how you will stay in touch with your family, emails, and etc. while in flight?" Yes. So actually, this is also a great question as well. So with Bennett's King, I actually have. That's one thing I forgot to mention was we have on board. It's the AeroWave 100. You have onboard Wi-Fi with the AeroWave 100. It's amazing. Like you have you think on an airliner you have you probably you have this huge piece of equipment and just to get Wi-Fi on the plane you wouldn't think that is possible on a small plane, but then with the AeroWave 100 from Bennett's King, you basically I could basically call people wherever I am, and it works all around the world, wherever you are. I've got Wi-Fi, I've got calls. I could text emails. All of that is so great. And yeah, no, my mum. That's one thing. My mum gets pretty worried about me when I'm flying. So, well, whatever I'm doing. So it'll be great to talk to her and while I'm flying and when I land. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, thanks you guys for watching. Make sure you check out all my sponsors. They're all super helpful. And yeah. I'm not sure what to say. Make sure you guys are all staying safe during this, this coronavirus thing. I know a lot of people have it a lot worse than me, all suffering from this. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are all staying safe, stay happy. We'll all get through this. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. And I will be doing more live streams like this. Hopefully interviewing some cool people. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to answer. All right. Okay. Yep. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.